was the governor of Akwa Ibom State. I was able to relate with him very closely. He's a good man. He has some level of integrity. What I mean by integrity is that he keeps close to friendship and also relates very well to people. I have no doubt that he will bring the relationships, the benefit of relationships to bear. What I mean by benefit of relationships is usually when one gets into the office, as high as the office of the Senate President, most times he's no more reachable. Most times arrogance comes to play. Most times it is impossible for anybody to reach him. In fact, he becomes a lost friend or a lost brother. But I don't think that is the case with Akpabio, with what I know about him. His doors are open, and he always extends very good hands of friendship. Mr. C, I'm happy that we are beginning to form the various levels of government. It is very important that the process of governance commences, because as I talk to you right now, governance have not commenced in Nigeria. The various offices are not in place. It doesn't give room for good economic indices. It doesn't give room for good developmental prospects for which everyone is looking forward to. Nigeria have suffered very tremendously in the area of very poor economic policies and implementation, in the area of unemployment, in the area of scarcity of everything, in the area of insecurity. So it is very important that this government is properly constituted and constituted as early as possible. Because right now, as I talk to you, there's no proper government in place.
Yeah,
so we need to constitute the government for the activities of governance to start.
I want us to look at it from two perspectives. This inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, particularly has got to do with this region, this part of the country, the Southeast region, where we had a former governor of Abia State, Senator Joseph Kalu, gunning for the Senate presidency seat, how he lost out eventually. And the other limb of it is the part of separation of powers. An argument or two have been thrown forward as to, hey, I mean, going in consonant with the position or the will, if you like, of the governing APC, wherein it stated before the inauguration yesterday, the principal officers had wanted to emerge from the process. Isn't this going to create 10th National Assembly that's going to be a rubber stamp of the executive? Is this going to be good for democracy, particularly as it has to do with checks and balances, separation of powers, which democracy is hinged on?
Well, Mr. C, you recall that I have always expressed my concern as to the inability of the various arms of government to be able to be independent. You will recall that the real purpose, from my earlier explanations, the real purpose of the provisions of Constitution is the independence of the various arms of government. The executive should be not necessarily independent, but the executive should have its own capacity to put in place the executive arm. The legislature should also be left alone to run by itself, while the judiciary also runs on its own. These three arms of government are the various checks and balances that we have to have in governance. But Mr. C, the country knows, you and I know, that it is not true. Today, whosoever is the president of the country must make sure that his own man is in the Senate as the Senate president, even in the federal house. So the government of Bola Tinubu did not make it secret. They didn't go anywhere hiding under some euphoria of secrecy. No. They made it very open as to who they want. They made it open as to who their choices are from day one, even before he was sworn in as the president. So I do believe, therefore, that the legislature will lack its independence. That is what I see. If you go and put your own man specifically and make it very open, well, the tendency is that you will dance to your tune. The oversight function the checks and balances, the regulatory tendency of the National Assembly will no more be there. That is what I think, and that's what I believe. I would have preferred a situation, Mr. C, the country would have preferred a situation where the National Assembly is left alone. Make choices of who your principal officers will be, make choices of who your leadership will be, so that amongst the idea and the process, the democratic process of choosing who your leader will be, amongst their own individuals, they will know the best person to choose. However, that does not mean that the choice of Akpabio is a wrong one. No, like I said earlier, I have associated very closely with him. He's a man of integrity. He's a man of honor. He likes progress. He's reachable. He's approachable. But if you ask me very clearly, I would have preferred a situation where the National Assembly was allowed to do its job. Choose your own people. Totally away from the influences of the executive. But that did not happen. Okay. What we saw here is that the government in place and the executive arm of government totally influenced the leadership of the National Assembly.
We'll move on to another issue, but before we do, I mean, on the issue of this part of the country getting the number 6 position by way of ranking, or at least if you follow protocol, when we had former governor of Abia State, Ojuzo Kalu, gunning for the number 3 position, eventually lost out, sadly. Is that the best position the southeast part of the country could have gotten? Number 6.
Well, Mr. C, I told you that ordinarily one would have preferred a situation where it was free and fair. It was done freely by members of the National Assembly to choose the leaders. But that did not happen. What happened, what we saw very clearly, is that the executive arm of government made a choice of who they want to be. They did not make this choice secretly, Mr. C. They made their choice very open. You will recall that even before he was sworn in, like I said, even before he was sworn in as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he had made his choices very open, very clearly, through the press. He didn't hide it. That is not the way we want our democracy to work. We will prefer a situation where our democracy will work, allowing those whose job it is to choose their leaders, to make sure they choose their leaders, especially knowing the various functions of all the arms of government, the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. It should be independent of the effect or the effect of the other arm. We shouldn't allow the legislature to oversee who becomes the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just as much as it is only prudent that the executive arm of government, the presidency, allows the members of the National Assembly to choose their leaders. This did not happen. The presidency chose the leaders who are going to be there. That is what we saw, and we saw it very clearly. That's probably why our brother Ojuzo Kalu lost out.
Okay.
We wished he was there, but Providence had it otherwise.
Well, right here in Abia State, the governor, Dr. Alex Oti, is yet to issue a proclamation for the inauguration of the 8th Abia House of Assembly. We had the termination of the 7th House, presided over by Right Honorable Chinedu Moji, terminate 10th of this month. That was precisely Saturday. Anything to worry about, or any reason you think for the inability yet of the governor to issue the proclamation? Because according to the Constitution, precisely Section 105 of the Constitution, subsection 3, the governor is meant to have done the proclamation immediately after being sworn in. And the other alternative is that the proclamation could have been done the day the 7th House was terminated. Is there any reason to worry yet as to the delay?
Absolutely, Mr. C. I have my worries. Let me tell you why I have my worries. Democracy is very different from dictatorship. In a democracy, you set out your rules. You set out your do's and don'ts. You set out your processes in a democracy. In a dictatorship, you do not set these things out. But what we have chosen here, Mr. C, is democracy. And in this democracy, like you rightly pointed out, we have the provision as to how the state assemblies must be enunciated, must be proclaimed. Mr. C, it is provided in section 105, like you rightly pointed out, but you only mentioned only 3. There's also section 1 that says that the governor should do the proclamation of the state assembly on the day he is sworn in as a governor. In an event where that does not happen, maybe because the life of the state assembly is still on, it should be done on the day that the life of assembly ceases to exist. What it therefore means is that on the 29th of May, the governor ought to have sworn in the state legislature. But that was not able to happen because the life of the state legislature was to happen on the 10th of this month. So given that, section 1 of that constitution of 105 does not come to bear. What comes to bear, Mr. C, there is section 3 of that 105. And that 105.3 says that the governor ought to swear the state assembly in on the day or the date on which the life of the state assembly ceases to exist. That date in Abia State, Mr. C, is on the 10th of this month. But you and I know, Mr. C, that today we are on the 14th of the month. That vacuum need not to exist in a democracy. That is very wrong in a democracy. We should not encourage this by any stretch of imagination. Because what it simply means, Mr. C, is that right now there is no legislature. So government is not in place. The government of Abia State is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The executive is partly in place until maybe the commissioners and other membership of the executive arm are put in place. But as I speak to you, 4 days after the expiry of the lifespan of the legislature in Abia State, 4 days after, there is no legislature in place. What it has also done, Mr. C, is that it has moved the lifespan of the next legislature forward. It is no more on the 10th. It has moved it forward until the governor does this. Mr. C, I have tried to reach out to Abia State, to those that matter in the National Assembly, not the State Assembly that has just been passed, and also the executive arm. The past State Assembly, a few of them I've spoken to, and I've also spoken to some members in this executive arm of government. And I believe that the thing that is the problem there is the inability of maybe the playing parties to agree on who should take the leadership of the party in the state, leadership of the state assembly. I'm sorry, Mr. C. There is some rigmarole between the two political parties, the two major political parties, the PDP and the Labour Party, as to who should head the leadership position in Abia State. Mr. C, it doesn't have to be this way. This is because there is executive interference into the activity of the legislature. It ought not to be this way. It negates the complete concept of democracy. Mr. C, I understand that a few of our leaders in the state are concerned as to who should be the speaker of the 8th Assembly of Abia State. Mr. C, I also understand there are some few discrepancies as to what is regarded as a ranking member or as to what is regarded as a non-ranking member. Mr. C, the State Assembly has its rules, very specific rules. You cannot be a speaker of the State Assembly according to the rules of the State Assembly, which was also signed on by the outgoing speaker. You cannot be a speaker if you're not a ranking member. By ranking member, we mean, Mr. C, generally I've asked question what actually ranking member means. Ranking member means that you must have spent at least one tenure. Not that you are in the house, no. You must have spent one tenure of the house. If you have not spent one tenure of the house, you are not a ranking member. So that is where the lacuna, that's where the breach is yet to be crossed. The LPs, members of the Labour Party, have the problem of producing somebody who have spent one tenure in the house. And also the members of the PEP are latching in on the euphoria that they have those members that spent 1 year in the house. Mr. C, we don't need to go through this. We should allow the State Assembly to be inaugurated. We should allow it to be properly put in place. There must have been a proclamation on the 10th of this. There must have been a proclamation as to the existence of the State Assembly. Unfortunately, Mr. C, it is the duty of the governor to do that. That is where the lacuna is. It is the duty of the governor. It is not the duty of the speaker to do that. It is the governor's duty. Having sworn in the governor ought to have that duty to proclaim the 8th assembly of the Abia State House of Assembly, and then allow members to among themselves to choose who runs their affairs. That is the way it ought to be.
Okay.
Unfortunately, both at the national level, there is interference from the executive, and at the state level, there's also interference of the executives on the legislative arm of government.
Well, we'll take a break here. In case you just tuned in, it's Open Parliament. It's the midweek edition with a guest Interpol Systems consultant, Chikwe Udensi, dissecting the 10th National Assembly and the failure yet of the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, to do a proclamation for the 8th Abia House of Assembly. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll look at the PDP in Abia State. Apparently, they believe the governor, though about 14 days or thereabout into the saddle, maybe they believe the government has not yet rolled as much as they expected, because an ex-aide told the former governor of Abia State, Governor Keze Pazu, and Mr. Chikwe Udensi, a couple of days ago revealed about the finances of the state, where he said in June 9, the state received a whopping sum of 24 billion naira through the Nigeria's Governors Forum as part of a total of 48 billion naira standing to the credit of the state, and that the former governor perfected $50 million World Bank facility at a 0.06% interest rate with 10 years repayment moratorium for the construction of more than 500-kilometer roads in Abia. Look at this and more. Stay with us. My name is Mr. C.
Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium. Experience the smooth and strong feeling that consistently surpasses expectation. Leading the way in high-performance lubricants, Master Supermoto Oil is as durable as titanium.
Very many thanks for keeping it the dial right here on this frequency. The program is Open Parliament, the midweek edition with a guest Interpol Systems consultant, Sir Chikwe Udensi. My name is Mr. C. Also, Abia State issue still, where an ex-aide to the former governor of Abia State, Governor Chikwe Udensi, Mr. Chikwe Udensi, a couple of days ago, did reel out revelation as to the current state of Abia's finances, where he said that in June 9, the state, Abia State, received 24 billion naira through the Nigerian Governors Forum as part of a total 48 billion naira standing to the credit of the state. He said Ipazu perfected $50 million World Bank facility at a 0.06% interest rate with 10 years repayment moratorium for the construction of more than 500-kilometer road in the state. Did stop there, said African Development Bank facility of about $200 million processed by for the construction of rural roads. Said the IGO for May is also ready, and of course the current administration set to receive the FAC allocation for the month of May. Is it much ado about nothing, you think, sir? That maybe a little... Is Dr. Alex Oti's administrations and the wheel of state so slow? Is it too slow, you think? Should it have been faster?
Thank you, Mr. C. We feel, a lot of us in Abia State, we feel a little bit insulted, very much insulted by the outgoing government. When we hear that...
You mean the outgoing?
The outgoing, because they're not properly gone out. We don't have a lot of things in place. There's no proper government in place right now. You can say they are outgone also. But what I'm saying is that the Bazoo government a little bit have insulted the intelligence of most of us. We were told that there is a recent movement of 24 billion naira from the Governors Forum into the account of Abia State. Is that the only amount of money in Abia State before he left? Mr. C, there was no economic activity in terms of infrastructure development, or in terms of payment of salaries, payment of gratuities, or maybe payment of pensioners. For the past, the medical doctors have been owed 15 months. Even the commissioners in Abia State are owed upwards of 9 months. We are largely being insulted by this government that have just gone, because we know the allocation that comes from the Federal Allocation Committee. We know the amount between 7 to 8 billion on a monthly basis to Abia State. As I say, we know the increment of the previous situation it was in our IGR to what it is right now monthly that comes to the state. For the past 24 months, where is the money? We also know the amount that comes from the percentage derivative as an oil producing state and other intervention funds, even funds from donor agencies. And we know these funds, Mr. C. Is the government telling us that it is only the money, the 24 billion that came from Governor's Forum, that is in the accounts of Abia State? Do you not see the reason why I say there must be an inquiry? So many people were very concerned, Mr. C, when I said there should be a probe. If you want to change the name from probe to inquiry, that doesn't matter. I'm saying that there should be an inquiry into the funds of Abia State. Not to find anybody guilty, no. Not to witch hunt anybody. You must have to have records. We must have to know what happened yesterday in Abia State funds. If the state government have so much, the past state government, if they have so much embezzled the funds of the state, where are the monies? Maybe some of these monies are being stashed away for the benefit of Abia into an account we do not know about. The only thing that will tell us where these monies are is a little inquiry. Don't call it probe. In fact, if you see what happened in South Africa after the apartheid, it was called Truth and Reconciliation. It was a probe. You don't have to call it a probe. You can call it reconciliation of the accounts of Abia. You can call it an inquiry into the accounts of Abia. But it is very important that we know what has happened to the funds of Abia. At least maybe these allegations against the state, especially the officials of the state, maybe the allegations are not true. Mr. C, you know what happened in this country some years ago, when we were still in our junior years, when Gowon was removed as the head of state of the nation. The allegation everywhere, in fact by those who removed him through a coup d'etat, that Gowon has left to London with the CBN of Nigeria. That the Central Bank of Nigeria, Gowon left with it. It was only through a probe that we realized that Gowon was broke. Gowon left with no penny. He had no money. He had to borrow money to feed. But before this time, there were serious allegations against Gowon. We can see we know those who have had allegations against them. They were taken to court. There was investigation. And either they were found guilty or maybe the courts exonerated them. That is the essence of inquiry. We cannot allow them to insult our intelligence and our sensitivity by telling us that it was only the amount of money that came from the Governor's Forum and then alone 2 amounts of monies in the accounts of Abia State. If that's what it is, most people will not rely on the government of Abia State to commence a probe. No. We have the Administration of Criminal Procedures Act, the Criminal Administration Act. It is put in place that allows individuals, somebody like Chikwe Udensi, can commence an investigation. If the state government does not do that, we shall commence an investigation by ourselves to find out what has happened with Abia funds. If it is possible, those who are innocent must be exonerated. If you look at the hush-hush talk today, the hush talk that comes from government, even from government officials, the truth is that a few people have been named as those who managed the affairs of the accounts of Abia State. So many of them are today were called billionaires from the affairs or from the accounts of Abia State. It may be true. It may not be true. The only thing that will give us information as to the actual position is an inquiry, an investigation into the accounts of Abia State. So it is very clear that we tell the government of Lesotho that whether he is starting on a good note or he is starting on a bad note, if there is no inquiry, if there is no investigation into the accounts of the affairs of Abia State, we shall commence one. The law allows it. The law gives us the powers to do that. We shall commence that. If you look at also the amended Police Act, individuals, not only Nigerian Police Force, the amended Police Act has allowed individuals to do investigation into criminal matters, even into civil matters, Mr. C. So we hope that government will not allow this inconsistency to exist. It is important that we clear the name of the outgoing government or the outgoing government, and also to make sure that things are put in their right perspectives.
Okay, well,
sorry?
Go ahead, make that point.
as to whether Dr. Lesoti have started on a good note or not, one thing you should have to know, Mr. C, is that in every facet, in every aspect of the state, there's a massive rot. Massive rot. We have had several years of administrative inconsistency and rot. So it will take Lesotho some time to even know what the position is before he's able to find a solution to it. Right now, we don't even know the amount of monies that are in the accounts of the state. We don't even know how many people are being owed salaries. We don't even know the obligations of the state in terms of facilities being taken or in terms of those being owed. We don't know all this. So one shouldn't expect Lesotho to have a magic wand from first day. He has just taken office less than 2 weeks. You cannot expect him on the first day of taking office to know everything. I believe he is putting the necessary indices on ground. But it is very important we know what has happened yesterday. It is only from what has happened yesterday we shall be able to correct what will happen tomorrow.
Open Parliament, Chikwe Udensi, our guest here. We're going to the phone lines, and then if we have time enough, we'll get to the national, where the President Bola Tinubu has signed a couple of bills into law. They talk about the electricity bill and the student loan bill. How significant are those? 0816-111-5955 or 0701-651-4107. 1 minute 30 seconds for your reaction. We'll have a first caller. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Once again, I am very happy with the responses that Chikwe Udensi to all your questions. I agree with him in total, but I want to emphasize that non-proclamation of the State House of Assembly is ill advised. It is wrong, and something has to be done quickly. For those who are counting 50 billion naira loan, even if that is affected, that loan is tied to specific project and cannot be diverted to other paying salaries and the rest of them. So far, Udensi has done very well, but the non-proclamation of the State House of Assembly is a complete failure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Phone lines free. You can come through with your reaction. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Good morning, Mr. Chikwe Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
Who say man know the name I'm calling from Mumbai.
Welcome.
Let me follow the first speaker. Most times I define integrity to someone when you see the truth and you speak it the way it is. Concerning the perspective of the Chikwe Udensi supporting this government of the day, telling them that it's going to help them. But when it comes to this 8th Assembly of 13 in Abia State, he now stated the way he should, irrespective of where he's coming from or his friendship with the governor of the state. That is what we are talking about. It is called integrity. Unlike some of the executive members of past administrators that are trying to find favor with Alito these days, they will come on air and be saying a lot of things concerning the way the state assembly should be precise, that they should allow it, that Alito should make sure that he work with anybody that will suit him to become the speaker. Then finally, the issue of allegations and non-allegation of past government of Dr. Kize Ibazu, I pray that this government of the day or individual like Chikwe Udensi said will take whatever allegation that they found to court and make sure that anybody that are taking anything that belongs to us, not even this past regime, previous regime, will bring it because the money belongs to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
Mr. Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
I'm Okafor. I'm calling from Woman.
Welcome.
Thank you. I think the best thing that can happen to this nation is to have an independent judiciary and legislature that can stand to checkmate the activities of the executive. That's the only way we can be sure of having a sustainable democracy in Nigeria, considering the challenges we are having today. I doubt the capacity of the principal officers that have been elected, considering the influence and the selection from the executive. God will help us. Let's see how it turns out. Then in Accra State, I will advise PDP to settle down, to relax. They have really caused Abians a lot of havoc. And this is a new government that has come to fix things. Please, they should stop all this rancor and all these things they are doing to allow this government to focus in delivering better dividends of democracy to Abians. Please. And I also advise our governor to inaugurate the house for the governors of Abian to take a proper shape.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
I remain coming to Chikwe Udensi from Aberdeen. Good morning, sir. Chikwe Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. I wish you speedy recovery as you embark on your medical trip. On the issue of election of Senator Godswill Akpabio, I think that as the Senate President, I think that is a welcome development. Going by the antecedent of the man, right from when he was the governor of Akwa Ibom State, we all saw it clear that he turned the fortunes of that state around. Then on our brother Ben Carlo, I congratulate him. He's a good man. We saw his performance in the ninth House of Assembly, National Assembly, House of Rep. We saw his performance through his trans-constituency project that he started, which is Ohafia Umaya Road.
Okay.
Then on this issue of non-proclamation of 8th Assembly by Governor Oti, I think the Abia State Governor is guided by the Constitution. So he's taking his time not to fall to antics of the opposition party, being the PDP. I believe at the right time he will do the needful.
Thank you.
He will not disappoint Abia. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Chikwe Udensi. Good morning, God bless you.
Welcome.
I will not congratulate any Senate President newly elect because I personally see them as a rubber stamp, whereby new president will endorse them and the thing come to pass. There is nothing they can offer to Nigeria that will be acceptable by me personally. And also, I want to advise audience, let them leave the past and the past legislation alone and focus on what to do to audience. Blaming so much blame on them cannot help matters. What matters is what can this new government do. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too. Good morning.
Mr. C, good morning this morning.
Good morning to you.
Dr. Udensi, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
All right, my name is Ifai. I'm calling from Musila this morning.
Welcome.
Please, my humble step this morning is that I want to say a very big congratulations to our own brother, Benjamin Carter. Then coming to our state, Abia State. Please, I just want to beg the PDP. I know our executive governor, Alex Choma Uche. I know he knows everything about the constitution. He knows the law about the constitution. You should give this man, because PDP have really dealt with this thing for years. Now they are talking here and here. I mean, even they are just looking for a way, but there is no. They can't even come back to that again, please. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm now going to check.
Welcome.
Saying that the rest of our children are what is wrong. It's only fair to take the of the ground. This is the emphasis of this. How could you kill the backbone of polarization and graduating? How could you control the government of whatever amount to behind the victim of the amount in allegation. The idea the change process. Okay, this traditional oil producing state. Which means all these things they have not come to tell us. I'm happy that I observe, but the very important is that administration has been the most effective government.
Thank you very much. We'll leave it here because the time is running out already. But let's come for your parting word, sir. What will be your parting words going forward in Abia State in Nigeria?
Well, as it has to do with Abia State, Mr. C, if you listen to most people who have spoken, most people are very angry with the PDP government. Just like all of us, we are angry. But you see, you cannot use a wrong thing to justify a wrong action. You must only use a right action to justify a wrong action. We must have to set up the 8th Assembly of Abia State. We must not allow a lacuna to exist, and we must have to allow the State Assembly to be independent. We must allow them to choose their own leaders in accordance and in keeping with the rules of the State Assembly. We must not intervene or interfere into it. I encourage our big brother, the governor of Abia State, Dr. Lesuti, to please do what is right. And what is right in this regard is to make sure that the Abia State Assembly is independent. We should allow them to choose their leaders in accordance with the set rules and the procedures of the State Assembly. That is my thinking, and that is what I have urged you and still urging him to do. In doing that, we should allow the three arms of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary to act independently and bring succor to the problems, enormous problems we already have in Abia State. The problems are so much, and we should not create more problems in the process of solving the problem.
Well, thank you very much. We'll leave it here. Sir Chikwe Udensi for coming through on the program this morning.
Thank you, Mr. C. Sometime this week, I'm coming back to my country.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to see you, and I'm sure very strong you will. Well, thank you very much once again. Thank you, listener. Thank you for being a part of the program. We'll return same time, same station next week, but tomorrow we'll be here for the Thursday edition. Let's take you to the newsroom for the news at 10. My name